Welcome again to Sheni V'Chamishi. I'm going to share a few interesting things, how I found Jews without finding a Magen David, and how I knew that they're Jews. I'm going to give you a few interesting anecdotes. Okay, number one, I got someone to help me, and he told me not to say. So what does that mean? Am I not going to tell my close friends? I will. Am I not going to tell someone like Gabbai who searches the world for Jewish graves? Of course, that secret over here is not applicable, but in concept, he told me, so it's no longer a secret. But I can't share it on YouTube because he asked me not to say. Why did he ask me not to say? Because his father told him not to say. So it doesn't mean that there's anti-Semitism in Japan today. It means he's doing what his tradition asked him to do. And he's must be a man in his 90s who is here, and he lent me the matches, and I'm going to be lighting up here for this. Now, how do you know? I'll give you a hint, but then I'm not saying, but I'll give you a hint from the war, first war with the senior W. Bush, American Jewish boys going in the military to Saudi Arabia, something to do with Kuwait, and they had on their dog tags that instead of saying Jew, which that would mean that the old kingdom has to change their law about no Jews allowed, so instead they wrote Protestant B. Protestant, letter B. So you know this guy is a Jew. It's a code word that they made up. And how many Jews went in there? Probably maybe less than 100. But they're smart. So how did they identify a Jew here? Now, very clever. Why would someone convert? Why would someone convert to Christianity 100 years ago? Or let's go back to 150, because of social reasons, because of acceptance, because you can't get into certain places if you're not Christian. So it's almost like a Jew trying to join a club. But Jews did not convert easily, even though we have lots of stories of Jews converting in mass. Even Rabbi Benu Gershom Meragola's son converted. But in general, Jews were very strong culturally, and they refused to convert to Islam, to Christianity. And this is what gave them that they were subject to conspiracy theories and pogroms, and latest was the Holocaust, because they had that strong cultural holding on. So even if we had a lot of people here that were doctors and came and helped modernize Japan, they were and they have on their grave a cross, it also means nothing. So that's hint number one. So how do we identify, what's the trick to identify a Jew in this grave site, which is people that died in the end of the 1800s and the beginning of the 1900s? How would we know? This is, of course, at least a good 40, 50 years before the Holocaust, the Second World War, and during the times of the pogroms and the Tsar. And the people came here from England. They came here from New York, believe it or not. And they came to help Japan in its modernization, especially in medicine and technology. Okay, I'm going to show you how I light. Oh, another interesting thing is people smoke here. People smoke in this graveyard because it's considered respectful. It's in other cultures, if you smoked in the oil, for example, by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in New York, then it would be considered very disrespectful. I saw a cigarette burned out in one of these little things that somebody, a grandson came probably and smoked and left the cigarette very nicely, so I know it wasn't someone that did it carelessly. So back to interesting thing about identifying Jews, and some Jews calling themselves Christians just because of work purposes, right? Just listed as a Christian, and some Jews that were converted because of ideological reasons. They believed in it. So, interestingly, in that case, interesting, the Rebbe says in the Sikh, the Rebbe spoke about Miu Yehudi, who is a Jew, something very sensitive topic, and it's related to identity and race. People give their lives to be Jews, and they find out that they're not considered Jews by all Jews, so that's something very interesting. So the Rebbe would say in these words in Yiddish, Gier, Eibsen nicht ka halacha, conversion, if it's not done halachically, Retzach wegen Goyim, Retzach nicht wegen Yidden. Rationally, he says it's considered Goyim, it's not considered Yidden, it's considered absolute Goyim. Well, and the Jews in Israel who have citizenship, and especially like Ariel Sharon. Ariel Sharon is not a halachic Jew. His mother was a Judaized Subbotnik, so those were Judaized Christians. So what would the Rebbe say about, first of all, Sharon, the Rebbe would not bother him because he's a big shot leader. So leaders are always, in religion or in politics, have a different rule. Whether you understand that yet or not, just read some more history. Get yourself educated and mature about that. So when the Rebbe says that, honestly speaking, if you're running a Chabad house and you have someone visit and he's a guy, right? So you treat him like a respect, and he's a good guy, and he's a Lubavitcher guy, right? He likes the Rebbe. But what do you do if you have someone who's converted, so he thinks he's Jewish? That's when the issue comes up, where you have to be like this faithful chassid and you have to tell him the truth, right? Or the truth, what you think is the truth. So the answer is very simple. He's just a non-halachic Jew. He could be a practicing Jew, as in he's a non-Christian, and he's a non-Indian, and he's a non-Hindu. But according to halacha, he's not Yoitzi. He puts on tefillin, he puts on leather, but he's not Yoitzi. But anyways, nobody's Yoitzi because we don't have a Beis Hamikdosh, and we don't have a Navi and a Kohen and a prophet, and we don't have a God that's functioning in the world. He exists somewhere, but for some reason he's always avoiding coming to the minyan. You know, whenever you make a Kel Kabir Layimas Tfilas Rabbim, whenever you pray, for some reason Hashem always avoids the minyan. As the Rambam would say, he's unaware of what's going on in this world. He must be on cloud 99. So, in that case, you can, that's another issue. We're going to put this one here. This is going to be like a respect. And then that's it. This is much older. So again, this cemetery is people who came from the West and were allowed into Japan and brought change and modernity. So it's interesting, I did see a few reverends and the people like theologians, but I doubt that the religion brought modernity, unless you brought something to the religion. You can't just be a rabbi. It's not a real job. You can't just be a pastor unless you're raking it in from poor people. But that's a selfish thing. You're not in the end of the day, when you enjoyed your mansion and you enjoyed the money of the people who came to the church, you did not contribute anything to society. These are people who have contributed towards modernity. So they may have been motivated by religion, but they had real jobs. So that's why they're remembered here with great respect in the center of Tokyo, next to Roppongi Hills, with great honor. Oh, I can't find the person who I promised to give him back the matches, but his family left beautiful, wonderful job they lit. So, I would love to keep my promise. It was only 5 minutes ago. Okay. Thank you for watching, and maybe next time we'll talk about how the Buddhists and the Christians have different concepts of what happens to you after you die. Don't forget that it's not just the soul that religion tried to imagine lives on, but in the Bible you also have the body living on, like Elijah going up to the clouds, or Muhammad, and so on and so forth. Or Moshe, nobody knows where he was buried, but they say he was buried, so maybe God buried his soul, but he took his body up to heaven, right? So enjoy your theological thinking. Thank you for watching Sheni V'Chamishi.